In the early hours of November 13, 2022, 4 university students were murdered inside a quiet off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho. There were no screams reported by neighbors, no emergency calls during the attack, no immediate signs of forced entry. When police arrived later that morning, they were met with a crime scene that would shock the entire country and spark one of the most closely followed investigations in recent American history. The victims were all students at the University of Idaho. They were young, social, and well-known in the local community. That night, the house was active, as it often was. Friends had come and gone, some residents returned home late. By the time morning arrived, everything appeared quiet from the outside. Inside, however, something unspeakable had already happened. Police were alerted just before noon, after a 911 call reported an unconscious person. When officers entered the house, they quickly realized this was not a medical emergency. It was a multiple homicide, for victims had been fatally stabbed. The brutality of the scene suggested a targeted and violent attack, yet nothing had been taken. No valuables were missing. The house showed no obvious signs of a struggle that neighbors could recall hearing. Almost immediately, fear spread through the town. Moscow was not accustomed to violent crime, let alone something of this magnitude. Students locked their doors. Parents demanded answers. The question everyone asked was the same. How could someone enter a house full of people, commit such an attack, and leave without being noticed? In the days that followed, investigators worked around the clock. Surveillance footage from nearby homes and businesses was reviewed. Tips flooded in from across the country. Law enforcement insisted there was no ongoing threat to the public, but the lack of a suspect only deepened the anxiety. Every detail, no matter how small, became part of intense public speculation. Weeks passed with no arrest. Rumors spread online. Amateur detectives dissected every photo and statement. Meanwhile, police quietly focused on physical evidence. Among the most critical findings was DNA recovered from the scene. Investigators also began tracking vehicle movement near the house around the time of the murders, narrowing their attention to a specific car repeatedly seen in the area. In late December 2022, authorities made an arrest thousands of miles away. Brian Koberger, a graduate student in criminology, was taken into custody in Pennsylvania. The announcement stunned the public. The idea that someone studying criminal behavior could be linked to such a crime added a disturbing layer to an already horrifying case. According to investigators, Koberger's DNA was allegedly linked to evidence found at the crime scene. Cell phone data, surveillance footage, and vehicle records were used to build a timeline of his movements. Prosecutors claimed he had been in the area multiple times before the murders and near the house on the night they occurred. Koberger denied involvement, setting the stage for a long legal battle. As court documents were released, the case grew even more complex. Some details raised new questions. How was the attack carried out so quickly? Why were other people in the house unharmed? And how did the suspect leave the area without drawing attention? Each answer seemed to generate even more uncertainty. The trial process moved slowly. Evidence was examined. Motions were filed. Public interest never faded. For the victims' families, the waiting became its own form of pain. Justice felt close, yet unresolved. Every hearing reopened wounds, reminding the nation that this was not just a story, but for lives lost in a single night. Beyond the courtroom, the case left a permanent mark on the community. The house where the murders occurred became a symbol of tragedy. Discussions about campus safety, violent crime, and media attention intensified. The sense of innocence that once defined the town was gone, replaced by an awareness that violence can strike anywhere. Today, the Moscow murders remain one of the most haunting crimes in recent U.S. history. While the legal process continues, many questions linger in the public mind. What truly happened inside that house in the early hours of November 13th? And could anything have stopped it? Until every answer is revealed, the case stands as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying crimes unfold in places where no one expects them.